Many thanks for staying right here with us this morning here on Sports Central here in Spectrum Television. Isaac is known as Marizona in the streets, joins the conversation this morning. Marizona, it's a fine morning to have you.
Absolutely right. Good morning. Definitely. I mean, we're a lot closer today. Yeah, you look fantastic, by the way.
Come on. I like your outlook.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, all ash today. It's Ash Thursday.
You're hanging in strong.
We're definitely starting strong.
All right, so let's begin the conversation very quickly. Usual routine is resumed in Warsaw.
Right.
You know, that sounded like
that was very strange, right?
Yeah. You know, usual service in Warsaw, and Iga Swiatek is back home now. The 37-match winning streak may have ended at Wimbledon in the third round,
right?
But the unbeaten run on clay definitely continues here. Magdalena Frech was no match for Iga Swiatek, the top seed and world #1.
Definitely right. You know, I mean, there was no chance that Magdalena would come in. I mean, someone that's ranked outside the top 50 will come in and see off. You know, one has stayed at world #1 for that very much time. So, I mean, like you said, despite the fact that she lost out at Wimbledon, you know, in a very crazy fashion, but of course, she's been able to keep that composure, especially in clay court tournaments, and that was what we saw yesterday in her hometown, Poland. You know, right there. So, kudos to her, of course, and I think she's
following the footsteps, the likes of Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Justin Henning, we're talking Maria Sharapova, and the rest. Her journey definitely continues, and she takes on Lee, a wildcat who's acquired flying in the wind in this particular tournament. But let's leave there, Poland, and head now to Austria, where the Kisbo Open is on, and this man, Dominic Thiem, is gradually, slowly building those blocks, and has shown what a fine player he is. It's coming together for him, and in the latest episode, he's now reached the quarterfinal, his third consecutive quarterfinal, showing the last 3 tournaments he's entered for. Had to see off countryman Sebastian Hofner for this particular quarterfinal showing. Talk to us about this man, and you know, the delight at the fact that bit by bit the work he's putting in, it's coming together for him.
Absolutely, Bryce is working his way back to, you know, tennis. I mean, we said it yesterday about, you know, the wrist injury that he had, and that actually threatened his form and all of that. But he showed class yesterday, seeing off, you know, his countryman. You know, despite dropping in the second set, there was so much fears about if he'll be able to come back in the third set to win that particular one. But he showed class, he showed great, and went on to win that particular one. Before, you know, coming into, you know, Mocha, there was a story, of course, the fact that the man did not qualify for a quarterfinal. You know, before then, he's been able to win 7 of his last 9 matches. That shows you, you know, the comeback, and gradually he's getting back to winning ways. Just last month, Bright, this man was ranked 352nd, but right now he's way into the top 160. That shows you experience, and kudos to him. I love what he's doing so far.
Right. And now we'll have, you know, guests joining the conversation this morning remotely. And of course, we'll be talking about Anthony Joshua. We'll be talking about the Commonwealth Games, and of course, the medal hopefuls potentially for Team Nigeria in the 22nd edition of the Commonwealth Games. Adeboye Samuel joins the conversation this morning. He's a sports commentator of no mean repute. Good to have you join us this morning, Adeboye Samuel.
Good morning, Bright. Good morning, Bright. Great to join you guys on the show this morning. It's my pleasure.
All right. So, well, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind I call you Bayo. Yeah, that's the one we're very comfortable with.
It's easy. It's just that way.
Fine to have you join us this morning. So, very quickly, let's get straight to the action. The Commonwealth Games serves up later tonight, 9 p.m. Nigerian time in Birmingham. It's the 22nd edition of it, and we'll have Nigerian hopefuls, you know, hopeful rather, of love medals compared to what we had in Australia, Gold Coast in 2018. The likes of Tobiloba Amusan, the likes of Brume, we're talking the Adekoroyes and the rest of them, but 94 athletes in total. What's your optimism level like as we head off for this Commonwealth Games?
Well, judging from the quality of performance that we've shown at the Commonwealth Games over time. I'm not exactly afraid of Nigeria not being on the medal table. Take yourself back to 2014 in Glasgow. Remember, Nigeria finished 8th on the log in 2018 in Gold Coast. We finished ninth, which was a step down. But if you look at the list that we've been given, 33 athletes for athletics. You're looking at 8 athletes for wrestling. You're looking at a whole lot of powerlifters. We're world champions in powerlifting, para table tennis, para athletics. These are sports of comparative advantage for Nigeria, and that counts for a lot for us. So if we know that these are areas of comparative advantage, perhaps in judo it just might be mere exposure for our athletes. It may not be one of our strongest points. We have the likes of India, Kazakhstan to contend with. I am pretty hopeful. Now, the fact that not all the countries of the world belong to the Commonwealth also gives us some sort of advantage. So Nigeria is in a very good position. I think Sunday Akindare, the Minister of Sports, has lived up to that word that we would only participate in competition that gives us some sort of advantage. And that advantage is what I think will play out here in Gold Coast. If in Birmingham, if it's for the host, we trust the host to always deliver. We saw London 2012; it was a spectacle to behold. If we're to judge by that, from tonight, we're to see a whole lot of things happen. My hopes are pretty high. I hope so. A lot of Nigerian sports enthusiasts are pretty high on the sort of performance we expect from Team Nigeria to continue it.
Right now, very quickly, we finished ninth, in the medal table the last time out with 9 gold, 9 silver, and 6 bronze medals. Now, let's talk about the names. Yes. Tobiloba Amusan, fresh off winning the 100 meters at the World Athletics Championship. Now, I say Brume also won silver, in the high jump event, in the long jump event there in that particular Commonwealth Games as well. Beyond these two names, where else and what other name readily comes to mind? You're looking out for saying, well, this and this person should land those medals here and there.
Well, there's Adodwa Yadukuru who will be in competition. She's a silver medalist, world silver medalist when it comes to wrestling in that category. There's Amas Daniels. We've seen an increase in wrestling. The last ranking that was held at the Vatican in Rome was a huge one for us as well, because we had 2 Nigerian wrestlers who broke into the top 10. That should count for us. In powerlifting, we've seen Kehinde Salisu and his entire team take powerlifting to a whole different level in Nigeria, to the point that we have a para weightlifting championship in Nigeria from time to time. We also do have, if you can recall, that Nigeria poses a threat to most of the weightlifting countries in the world. We might be seen as underdogs, but my opinion is that we do have what it takes to make powerlifting count for us as one of the places we'll also be getting medals. It shouldn't be a big deal to get this done. It shouldn't be a big deal. Say perhaps 26 medals, 30 medal target should be what we should expect from Team Nigeria. Aruna Kodri, of course, another big name in table tennis.
Motaya got, they got silver at the last edition of the games, and well, should be looking to improve on that. They should land us gold.
Yes, we have. There are a total of 20 different disciplines at the Commonwealth Games. Nigeria has only chosen 9. If we can get as much as possible from this 9, and I've looked at the list, 94 athletes to represent Nigeria, I think it's comprehensive enough. Save for maybe NY Kwekuta, who's missing from judo, because 16 kilograms, she would have been a huge one to deal with. She had gone to London to train. We had seen her at the African Championship in Dakar, as well as the one that held in Yaoundé in Cameroon. I was hoping that she'd also make it to that list, but unfortunately, she's not there. We're not going to cry over spilled milk. We're going to focus on these athletes that are there. Let's hope that the Nigerian factor. Now, when we talk about the Nigerian factor, that's what affects most of our athletes. The entire world is celebrating Oluwatobiloba Amusan. But if you were in Asaba in 2018 and you're seeing the kind of hotel room that she was put in, you perhaps would not have thought she would achieve this sort of greatness. If you were at the Yaba College of Technology in 2016, when she posted that tweet that she's currently unknown, but she will keep working hard. So most of these athletes have to go through a lot personally. The Nigerian factor could include the vest that they get to compete with. The Nigerian factor could include visas that they usually do not get on time. The Nigerian factor could include some of those logistic factors that we usually speak up against. So if we put all that in the background, if allowances are paid as at when due, if these athletes are put in the right frame of mind, if these athletes have been properly tested and put in the right spots, I don't think we should have any major challenge in conquering. Conquering means being in the top 10, remaining in the top 10 at the Commonwealth Games, perhaps advancing to a fifth place finish with over 30 medals. That should work better for Nigeria.
Commonwealth Games very quickly and talk about the AJ and the Alexander Usyk rematch built for August 20, very quickly. Well, I know you're a big fan, and I couldn't help but notice that big smile. Now, a former cruiserweight champion, has been talking about Anthony Joshua. And meanwhile, Joshua, I'm sure you followed the news in the last couple of days, has been talking about lack of respect for British boxers. And of course, how British heavyweights are only seen as people who love to drink tea, eat biscuits, and then sit and talk with the Queen and all of that. Now, basically, he's talking about the fact that they don't get the respect they deserve, owing to the amount of work they've put in. Now, the former cruiserweight champion is saying Anthony Joshua needs to beat Alexander Usyk in the match to earn that respect. So I'd like to ask you very pointedly now from a start. Do you think Joshua gets the respect he deserves? Or you think he's undermined there owing to what he does?
Anthony Joshua has not gotten the respect he deserves. He is a world heavyweight champion, former world heavyweight champion now, because he lost those titles to Alexander Usyk. We must first give respect to Alexander Usyk. Is a great boxer in his own rights, because if a boxer comes from a weight down and hasn't lost a fight up until this point, beating someone with 3 titles, then we must give him his respect. For British boxers, even if you do not like Anthony Joshua, look at what he's achieved so far. He has only 2 losses on his cards, and this man is a warrior, for crying out loud. We've seen the likes of Tyson Fury adjudged to be one of the biggest boxers of all time, gone in to step into the ring with him. You cannot mention greats in the heavyweight category before you get to the top 20 in world history. Well, there's going to be an Anthony Joshua. Now, as Anthony Joshua matched his words with action in terms of what he's been able to deliver, I would not say so in recent times. I think he's been caught up with the more commercial part of boxing recently. We've seen what he did with Rob McCracken. Now there's Robert Garcia who's taking charge. They say they see all of the loopholes. I also think that they do this in boxing sometimes, where you look at the financial part of things. For instance, you beat Andy Ruiz the first time, they wouldn't have been the second match. But then you lose to Andy Ruiz the first time, no one expects it, everyone gets the focus on the second fight, and then you beat him, whoop, you get your titles back. 2 fights, you get to earn money twice. So all of these things happen because these pugilists, the truth is, their careers are pretty short. Look at it. By the time they get into the 30, 40 mark, then there really is not much. It's how much money you've made for yourself. Ask Oscar, who's playing in China at the moment. They will tell you, I went there for the money. So I think creating a balance of the finances plus the finesse when they step into the ring would set them aside. I mean, look at American. You have a whole roll call of boxers from the United Kingdom. They have written through several weight categories. Yes, they deserve the respect, but Anthony Joshua must leave the talking now and step into the ring to reclaim not just his titles, but also his pride and the respect for British boxers. But it's undoubted we can't contend it. Derek Chisora, Dillian White, Anthony Joshua, Amir Khan, and of course the Gypsy King himself, Tyson Fury. Come on, these guys are putting a lot of hard work and they're reaping it.
Very quickly before we leave the AJ story, AJ Alexander Usyk, you think AJ has adjusted enough and of course has prepared enough, to beat Alexander Usyk? And you think Alexander Usyk is just going to lay down there for Joshua to beat him without a fight? He's now heavyweight champion, and I'm sure he's got the ambitions of holding on to those belts. How much of a difficult fight will it be, for AJ looking to reclaim the belt he lost, at the Tottenham Hotspur Arena to Alexander Usyk?
This could be the fight of AJ's career. It could be the fight of AJ's career because it tastes of the pudding, all of the fame and pageantry that Alexander Usyk has tasted. It was not something anyone would want to leave anytime soon. That's the truth. Now, Anthony Joshua has to regain this title if he must retain relevance. Like Deontay Wilder, you've seen him go into oblivion. If Anthony Joshua does not win this fight, then you can kiss a chance at the world title goodbye, at least for the next couple of years. At what age would he be able to come back at that point? The relevance will dwindle and all of this, Brume will get to rest. Alexander Usyk will not let this easy. It will always put up a very good fight. Definitely. It's a showpiece we watch at the Jeddah Dome. There's money on the table, there's fame on the table, there's pride on the table. Anthony Joshua must not fight in the territory of Alexander Usyk if he is to make his mark or win this bout. If he tries to outbox Alexander Usyk, who's much lighter, who's much faster, who could be a better boxer, he would lose this fight. But if he fights on his own turf, which is use the power punches like we're used to, move the man around a little bit, try to wear him out in the first couple of rounds. Don't try to win the rounds, try to wear him out, and when he's tired enough, you can knock him out, which is the style that's used against many boxers, from the Klitschko to even his matchup against Dillian White and even Derek Chisora. Name it, whoever he has fought, he's used that same tactic. Even Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, fast puncher, but he was able to knock him around the first couple of rounds. When it starts to take the toll, when the stamina starts to count, that's when it counts for Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only way he can defeat Alexander Usyk in this bout. But August 20 is just a couple of weeks away. We can't wait.
All right, now, Mari, the question that has been on my mind for quite a while now, fans are optimistic, of, Joshua's, comeback. He calls himself the comeback king now.
Absolutely.
Having come back against Andy Ruiz.
I've
been wondering, what if Joshua loses this fight? What happens next?
Well, anything happens. You'll not be the first person to lose a match. Of course, we've seen, great boxers lose games. Tyson Fury at some point lost a few, boxing matches. He went down the drain too. I'm looking forward to that game. Of course, just as Bayo has said, he has to win. Of course, he has to balance fame and fortune. Has to make sure that he doesn't get to win rounds. Just Usyk out. Usyk, according to Bayo, he's a better boxer. I mean, he's got jabs. I mean, from somebody that came from a lower division, was unbeaten all through, came here, defeated you, got 3 of your belts. That's a lot. So you should not lose sight of the fact this man is clearly a big boxer. So if he loses at the end of the day, right, well, I think life goes on for Joshua. He's had his time as a boxer, so everything has a beginning, has an end at the end of the day.
Will it be end of the road for Anthony Joshua if he loses this fight against Usyk? Bayo?
It will not be the end of the road for boxers. If Samuel Peter is still fighting, it cannot be the end of the road. Anthony Joshua is a lot younger even. So that may not be the end of the road. But will he still be able to dominate at that level? They may not be able to do that anymore. But of course, we're not going to rule out the fact that Muhammad Ali went down the drain and came back to become world champion. You cannot rule anyone out. It's the fighter spirit, the warrior spirit, and I believe Anthony Joshua does have that warrior spirit. I hope he doesn't lose this fight. If he does, it could be the end of that era for him. It will be a struggle from then on.
Okay, all right. We'll keep tracking the latest developments, and of course, we'll bring you the latest stories regarding that particular fight. We've got time between now and August 20 in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Venue, and of course, date for that particular fight. Let's talk about football stories very quickly before we go. Bayo, you've tracked preseason. Liverpool has been here and there, lost to Manchester United, hogged the headlines with that, and had a couple of wins in between against Crystal Palace and Melbourne City and the rest of them. But now, closing up preseason, they lost against RB Salzburg by a goal to nothing. What does that say of Jurgen Klopp and how prepared they are, looking at the fact that we've got just days to the curtain raiser and the Premier League? We'll talk about the Community Shield this weekend, Saturday, against champions Manchester City.
Well, don't give Manchester United too much things to celebrate about. With our 4 goals. One thing about preseason, I don't take preseason games to watch too much. It may not be a true reflection. Before you become the overall best in winning preseason, at the end of the day, you win almost nothing. But apologies to Arsenal fans who win the Emirates Cup every year. But then, if you take it forward just a little bit, for Jurgen Klopp, towards the end of last season, we actually saw them stretch out thin. We've seen the sort of business they've done in the transfer market. We've seen the exit of Sadio Mane, a sentimental exit for a lot of people, but then sentiments don't play football. The sort of quality you put on the field would determine what happens. Jurgen Klopp would have a very uphill task. It's not the Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool we saw 2 seasons ago. It's not the same Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool we saw in the COVID-19 season where they were almost unbeatable. They played fantastic football, no doubt. But as they go into the season, maybe a little stumble and wobble at the beginning of the season, but they'll get things right. Usually preseasons are for testing new tactics, getting some players, knowing the players that could be mainstay or could be backup for certain players in the course of the season. So I don't attach too much importance to it, and it's also an opportunity for these stars to try new things, for these teams, big teams especially, to try new things, spread their franchise to other countries in the world. Look at the quality of teams they've lost to. If you would not deny the fact that Erik ten Hag has put some improvement in Manchester United. In Rasenballsport Leipzig is not a team you toss aside in their Austrian Bundesliga. They do a very good job at Salzburg, rather. Salzburg, Rasenballsport Salzburg. So the loss of Liverpool to them does not come to me much as a surprise. Look at the sort of setup they put up. It's a typical Liverpool side that you'd expect to deliver on a good day. But then they didn't on the day. Salzburg will also want to make a mark. Jurgen Klopp will go back home, look at the errors that have been made, look at possible corrections that can be put in place. I'm not going to write off Liverpool anytime soon, except for the next couple of years. But they would all, I hope they have seen the chink in their armor and they can put a fix to it as soon as possible. If not, there's going to be a tough season ahead for Liverpool. Not just Liverpool, but so many other teams. For the teams that win easy, it also has the tendency to make them lose focus, thinking, oh, if I can beat this team at this rate, perhaps I could do even more when I go forward. But it does like that when the real drill comes. When there's something at stake, everything changes.
All right. Now, Mari, post game now against Salzburg, Jurgen Klopp came out with a statement saying the players need to support Darwin Núñez more.
Right.
Now, scored 4 against Rasenballsport Leipzig in the last preseason game before this. But now it clearly looks like it's not Uhuru for the man Darwin Núñez. A lot of work still needs to be done. It's far from the finished product Liverpool fans so much crave for.
Definitely, Bright. I think he has a lot to do. First off, the pressure of being signed for £100 million clearly will take a toll on your performance. Look at the first game against United and all of that, struggled a few. Listen, I think the Liverpool fans need to help him settle, because it's about settling and integrating with the squad and trying to bring out the very best. This youngster has got quality. Let's not write him off. He scored 32 for Benfica last season, in all competition. So he's got that quality. He's got, that would make him a big star at Liverpool, but he just needs to settle and calm his tension down. That would help him bring out the very best in him. So, moreover, Bright, being the most talked about player in a team, you're being marked by 2-3 defenders in most games, and then most times it gets you off track, off balance, and it's difficult for you to perform. But I think he just needs to settle, and then once he's settled, integrate to the squad, bring out the best in him. He's a fine striker, Bright, young as well, guarantees Liverpool at least 10 years of football time if he's not sold off, But I think Liverpool fans need to let him settle, calm down, support him all through the process. Like Bayo said, it's pre-season, so there's no point, there's no profit in being overall best in pre-season, and then when the league starts, you're fumbling. There's no reward for all of that. So let this man settle, we'll bring out the best in him.
All right. I'd like to put you on the spot for a bit now. Liverpool, Manchester City buyer who finishes higher in the Premier League, that is.
For next season. I'll put my money on Manchester City. The gulf between Manchester City and every other English club at the moment, realistically speaking, in terms of the manpower, in terms of the quality of football they're playing, for a team that can let go of Raheem Sterling, you know what they have in their kitty. I put my money in my mouth for Manchester City.